My name is Austen Menges, and I've been a pro editor for over 20 years, specializing in broadcast TV commercials. I learn best by watching experts. So at the beginning of my career, I had some of my biggest epiphanies just sitting behind other pro editors. But these days, it's really hard to get an opportunity to sit behind a pro editor, especially with all this remote work that's going on. But I'm trying to bring that back by inviting you into my edit suite where you can just watch me edit and do some sound design live. I literally am just turning on my screen recording software, turning on my camera. I'm not going to edit this. You can just sort of hang out with me, get your coffee. I know this actually looks kind of like beer, but it is cold brew coffee with sparkling water in it. I don't know if you've ever tried that, but I highly recommend. In fact, if you have any coffee recommendations, leave them in the comments. I think we're kind of single-handedly supporting the coffee industry. So good for us. Now, I started this 2 weeks ago and I haven't looked at it since. This is a sequence, short little sequence I made using Artlist footage with some Artlist sound effects. This is a great way to practice. If you have a site subscription like Artlist or any of the other ones really, Storyblocks is another one, I think it's really cool to go and try to just come up with a little scene from this beautiful stock footage you can find and just practice your editing. Try to tell a little story. That's exactly what I did a couple weeks ago when I started this in part one. And now I'm just opened up my sequence and I'm going to take a look. And this is the first thing I wanted to talk about, which is it's great to take a day, or in this case, a couple of weeks, in between when you look at how you started a project and where it's at now. It's incredible the perspective you can have. Now, we don't always have an opportunity to wait a couple weeks. Sometimes we just have to keep going, hit those deadlines. But it can be pretty interesting to take a couple weeks away from a project, or even one night. I feel like sleeping on it can be extremely helpful. So I really just need to see where we landed. So I'm just going to give this a play here. Okay, cool. It's a simple little scene with some sounds very roughed in there. One thing did catch my eye that'll be an easy fix. We always have to think about screen direction when we are editing. And what I mean by that is what way things are traveling. So look, we have this guy, and the way the camera is set up, it looks as if the sailboat is traveling from right to left because he is pointing right to left. And then we cut to this shot where the sailboat is going left to right. So you know what I might do? I just might go to effects here and grab a horizontal flip. Well, let's see what it feels like with this sailboat going the other way. That feels a little better to me. Now the camera moving, I wonder what this would feel like. I might actually also reverse this shot to see what it feels like with the camera going the other way. That actually feels a lot better to me. So those are just a couple little picture changes I'm going to make. And now I kind of want to work on the sound design, because that was really rough. I pretty much just roughed in a few sounds. And I think what I want to focus on in this little session here is maybe bringing some of these sounds to life. So we have this calm sailing water rippling. Okay, one little trick I want to do is I just want to insert a cut, and I want to have a little perspective shift in that this is going to get quieter. So the sound of the waves The sound of the waves in this shot can be louder, and then when we get to this, I'm going to lower the volume by like 10 decibels. And then maybe we'll keep it down for this. Okay, so that's interesting. We can also put in a different sound so it really shifts perspective. But for now, that's what I'm going to do. And then I want to add a splash sound to this water coming up. I think that'll be a nice end to this shot. So I'm just going to type in splash, see what we come up with. Okay, that's way more what we had in mind here. So I'm going to drag this in. So this is my handy art list panel in Premiere Pro, which is so helpful. I highly recommend if you have Premiere Pro and art list that you get this plugin because you literally can just drag in sound effects now. That's kind of nice. All right, I want to see what happens when we put in this whale sound. Let's sync this up. I can already tell it's going to be too loud, so I'm just going to lower it a little. So that is the sound of a whale at the beginning of that sound effect, which we'll get rid of. That's kind of what I wanted. Just the little wave. How nice is that? Okay, so then I'm thinking I want to add a specific sound effect to this wheel turning. So we don't have... His hand wouldn't be making a sound, but maybe the wheel itself would be? What if I type in wheel? Just curious what comes up. Interesting. Sometimes I like listening to a bunch of stuff because you never know what you're going to hear from some other random sound effect that fits perfectly. But let's see. Ship sounds. Oh, that's cool. Okay, this air horn, I'm just going to drag over here and because I think I might put that in another shot to do some world building. Like there's a big ship coming. Well, that's a really cool sound. Okay. This is kind of what I had in mind. I know this sounds more like a pirate ship, but I'm going to go for it. Okay, so we have the sound here. I'm just curious if I put that really low under this shot, what it will feel like. Now, it might not work at all, but you always have to try it with picture. I kind of like it. Okay, I'm going to keep that. And then I want some sound of rope. Let's see what we got here. Let's see, this can go away. That's pretty good. Kind of like that little part. See what else we got. I think I'm going to try to work with this one. And let's see. I want that little zip to go kind of on that. That's interesting. And then I don't want it to make a sound after that. So I'm going to do something like that. I think that's a little cool starting point. Here I think I want that ship horn. And now this might all be too much, but I'm kind of just asking myself one of my favorite questions, which is what is the sound of the shot? And Particularly the ship horn would be an example of something I call world building. I think I got that from Walter. Sorry, I think I got that from Walter Murch, where you create a world outside of the image through adding sounds. What a cool way. So instead of shooting a huge ship going by, what if you put in a ship horn? And it implies there's other big ships in this harbor. Okay, so I like those seagulls. And then we have a hard cut. So that's kind of always a nice option when you're doing sound design and you want to have a nice transition, is just to do a hard cut between two different ambiances. In this case, some driving sounds and these nice birds. Okay, and then remember how we started with some kind of the big wave sounds? I mean, this big ambience here. And then we quieted it down for this shot, like a shift in perspective. Well, what if we raise it back up for these? Pretty cool. Then we have those seagulls. Now we shifted to driving sounds. Okay, and you know what I want to do is I want to find some other sound put in here, but I'm not quite sure what I want. I mean, a world building, you could definitely have some birds, some different types of birds. That could be really cool. This. Kind of go from seagulls to kind of more foresty birds that would live in the woods. Oh, I like that. Now this was interesting. I don't like how I had this sound put in. I'm going to line it up with this shot. I'm going to lower it quite a bit. I don't love it. Okay, I want to get some different birds here. I'm going to put in forest birds and see what we come up with. That's nice. Now, you know what we could do? I think this footage is from Norway, so you can always type in Norway birds. Anything come up? Yep, I think this is the sound we already have. Yep, we already found that. Now, this is Iceland, but maybe that's okay. We don't have to always be perfectly logical in what we choose here. But I kind of want some birds here. I'm just going to place those in. So I just shifted this. I don't want those kind of big bird sounds. No, I'm not feeling that at all. Oh, you know, one thing that's not helping is you see on this sound meter here how I'm only getting this out of one channel. So that means something is wrong. So I'm going to go to audio channels and click left and right and see if that solves it. Yeah, so there's a little trick for you. If you're only getting sound out of one side, go to your audio channels and turn on the other channel. So that's cool. Maybe we could add some footsteps. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping around here. This is really how I do things, so you're getting a behind-the-scenes look. That's silly. Now, some of these could work. But you really would have to go through and really kind of sync them up, which might be too much work for this little demonstration. But let's just see. So we got one there, and then we would want to make these really quiet. So I didn't mind that, just kind of how it naturally worked. It just kind of gave it a little more sound of people going by. It kind of brought it to life a little better. And then I kind of wanted some wind. I think the reason I brought in this shot is because it had some wind in it. I think I remember looking for wind last time. Let's look for some different wind. This is pretty subtle. I like this. Maybe this will be better. So I just chopped off the front because I don't want it to fade in. So I just see what this sounds like. You can solo stuff just to hear one track. Now the problem with that is it sounded like trees, and we didn't see very many trees, so I think I'm gonna pick something else. Okay, I think, let's see. So here's another, I'm gonna do another shift here. So we have the walking, then we have this. Now I can make this louder. Let's see what this sounds like. That's okay, and then let's get a hawk. It's classic. Just going to use that. And then I'm going to try to find a different ambiance for the top of this cliff. Because I actually, instead of just raising the volume between these two shots with the same sound effect, I do want the sound to change. I want it to be really quiet. Let's just see. All right. I'm just going to put this down here just so I have options. Sometimes I don't delete what's in there. I would just disable it so you have these different options. Yeah, let's do that. And then let's just have this little quiet, really quiet hawk screech. Even quieter. Just give it a sense of scale. So that's pretty cool. So one quick trick you can do when you're roughening your sound, I have a hotkey where I can just add 2-frame crossfades to everything. So I just did that there. And I have quick hotkeys to make my tracks bigger or smaller. Let's just see what we got here. Okay, that brought it to life quite a bit. I'm going to lower these footsteps. I also wanted the sound to shift more between these two shots. So I think that might be a case of lowering the volume on the ambience when it gets to the second shot. Yeah, I like that. I kind of want it to be more birds forward. That rope sound was way too loud in my opinion. subtle. Okay, I love the horn. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Let's watch it one more time, and I think that might be it for a quick sound design pass on this little exercise I'm making for an upcoming video. So, did we make it a little better in that 20-minute session? I think so. I think we found some cool, specific sound effects that really started bringing those images to life. And if you had one takeaway from this video, I would say it's this. Start asking yourself, what is the sound of the shot? And start to think about building a world outside of the frame. Now, if you want to know my 5 editing criteria that I use on every project, whether it's a broadcast TV commercial or a little practice demo like this, download my free guide at the link in the description. It's helped thousands of editors, and I think you'll really like it. And if you watched this video, you might want to watch this one next. Happy editing.